My size baffles the imagination. My engines are turning the planet. I made a revolution in transport by a single fact of my existence. I'm the best wide-body airliner in the world. I am Boeing 777. I'm good, and I know it. Hello aviators, Sky here, and as you already understand, the Boeing 777 is a pretty cool plane. There's already a video about it on the channel, but now we have the opportunity to walk around and feel the real 777. Let's see what interesting things we have here. So, we are at the Moscow Sheremetyevo Airport, passing by large and small aircraft on the apron. Our goal is a hangar located not far from the terminal, inside which our hero is already waiting. Today's party is actually a presentation of a new product of the Russian airline Aeroflot, which they have developed as part of the new strategy. Yes, a hangar, club lights, a buffet, and a machine worth about $350 million. This is not a show-off, this is a strategy. This strategy involves expanding the scale and modernization of the corporation's three airlines: the regional and tourist carrier Россия Airline, the low-cost Pobeda Airline, and the flagship Aeroflot Airline, which from a major airline of Eastern Europe is to become a five-star world-class carrier. The basis of the fleet of this airline will be the planes of the A320neo family, the Airbus A350, and Boeing 777. In total, this team of three companies will have about 600 aircraft, carrying 130 million passengers a year. It's time to walk around the plane and take a closer look at some of its details. Let's start with what it all stands on. At first glance, it may seem that the landing gear of the 777 is ordinary, with two legs of the main support and one swivel in front. Everyone has it. Yes, but not all of them weigh 350 tons, and our airliner with two legs of the main gear is a triumph of minimalism. At the time of its creation, all counterparts had supports with three legs, and bigger machines like the 747 and the A380 have four. As expected, the gears are huge, 6 large wheels on each bogie. This is not really obvious in the picture, but in real life, when next to you there is a wheel with a diameter of almost your height, and above it the hydraulics capable of lifting a house, it is impressive. Our hero's wing is a work of art. Aeroflot actually added some colors at the presentation. In such club lights, the entire wing looks like a monolithic object carved out of marble. But the structure is not at all a monolith. There is advanced mechanization, all the dynamic surfaces of which are of course huge and very beautiful in action. The dimensions of the wing are a special topic. This 64-meter bridge with a fuselage in the middle is second only to the wings of the A380 and 747-8. Even the 747-400 has a slightly smaller wing. And in the future, it will be even cooler. At the new generation 777X, it will reach 71.7 meters. And here, Boeing used cheat codes and made the tips folding, so that the plane would be able to fit somewhere. But what the 300ER is an absolute record holder in is the engines. In general view, if you look at the plane from afar, it seems that in proportion to the airframe, they are not so big. The A320neo looks similar. But given the size of the airframe, or if you can just walk up and stand next to the engines, yes, the GE90 is the largest and most powerful aircraft engine ever created. An almost 9-ton colossus with 3.3 meters span and 513 kilonewtons of thrust, 115,300 pounds force. Just for comparison, a couple of these monsters under the wing creates a thrust greater than 4 NK-32 engines on the Tu-160 on afterburner. And the Tu-160 is a huge supersonic strategic bomber, a single look of which can make you fall into nirvana. But let's move on to what this whole structure actually has to carry. The fuselage of the airliner is 6.2 meters in diameter and almost 74 meters long. That's the parameter of the 300ER, the longest in the family. With this size, there is space for games. About the games. As part of its strategy, Aeroflot sets itself the task of not only modernizing the fleet, but also unifying the aircraft filling, to the extent that is possible for the airliners of 3 models from 2 competing companies. This will provide the bar for the level of comfort, and at the same time for costs not to fly into space. It is for this purpose that they have developed completely new passenger cabins and are installing them everywhere. These are on the A350, recently we saw them on the A320neo, and now we'll see such a cabin inside the 777. Actually, the whole party tonight is dedicated to the presentation of this new design. The old cabins of the airliners accommodated 402 seats. The new version will receive 28 seats in business class, 24 seats in comfort class, and as many as 375 seats in economy. 427 seats is an impressive figure, even for such a whale as the 777. This solution has its pros and cons. Let's take a walk around the new cabin and appreciate its goodies. Inside the airliner, there is 1 business class cabin, 1 comfort cabin, in fact 3 economy class cabins, 51 rows of seats, 10 lavatories, and 4 kitchens. A simple passage to the passenger cabin from nose to tail takes quite a walk. Let's start with the tail. The largest service area of the cabin is the tail kitchen. Huge, not every home has one like this, although the design of course is not entirely homey. It houses carts, storage, and equipment for preparing food and drinks. In addition to this kitchen, there are 3 smaller ones on board. And this is enough to feed, sometimes more than once, 427 people. It's scary to imagine what kind of buffet set is brought here before a long-haul flight. And this still needs to be prepared and distributed between the cabins. Don't bother the flight attendants in flight for no reason. They have a lot of work to do. Naturally, where there are places for the supply of food and drinks, there are also places for getting rid of them. On board the airliner, there are as many as 10 lavatories, 8 of which are in the economy cabin. A decent amount, because the queues in the aisles is not a good thing. The toilets themselves are just toilets. That somehow went without revolutions. Let's see what the interior of the cabin looks like. The overall comfort is provided by a whole range of standard instruments, most of which are controlled through special terminals in the flight attendants' working areas. Temperature, lighting, alerts, music, and so on. The cabin carries corporate colors, orange headrests and blue seats. The headrests are leather and the chair covers are made of jacquard fabric. For entertainment in the cabin, the Panasonic EX3 Multimedia Complex is responsible, a fairly new system created on the basis of the EX2, at one time a great pride of the company created for the A380. Here there's a complete set: touchscreens, USB ports, movies, TV shows, documentaries, those stupid games, and of course the flight map. The internet is also available. The airline is equipping its entire fleet with internet communications, capable of pulling up to 30 megabits per second, with corresponding costs, so cloud gaming is not available. Yet. So, let's take a look at the economy class. 2 aisles, 10 seats in a row, in the 3+4+3 layout. A classic wide-body airliner, of the larger ones. A similar layout can also be seen on the Queen, the 747. The cabin is nice and made comfortable enough for the economy. The seat pitch is about 31-32 inches, and due to the fact that the seats are very thin, the individual passenger space has slightly increased. The headrest adjustments in height and lateral support are in place. In terms of equipment, everything is pretty familiar. At the bottom there's a pocket for small items, just above is a folding table and a niche for magazines and safety instructions. The most interesting thing here is multimedia with a touchscreen. Everything works well, although I was testing it for a few minutes in an airliner standing in a hangar with a cabin which is 10 minutes old. The comfort class is the smallest in a cabin, 24 seats in the MIQ model. These chairs are larger than in the economy. Here they are arranged according to 2+4+2 layout with a pitch of 38 inches and a seat width of 18.5 inches, approximately 47 centimeters. Monolithic armrests are installed here, inside of which fold-out tables are hidden, and due to the larger pitch, a greater angle of inclination of the chairs is available. Plus, there are pull-out footrests. The equipment and comfort is more advanced. The displays here are larger, 13 inches. There are built-in multimedia control joysticks, additional sockets, USB ports, and an individual light is installed in a separate lamp on the chair, not built into the ceiling. The main bonus of wide-body airliners from the point of view of public relations of their owners is that they can show off a lot. The business class is made according to all the canons of comfort, design, and luxury. This section has 28 cabins, 4 in a row, which are called Super Diamond, as they should. Each cabin has a sliding door that does not isolate it from the rest of the plane, but provides relative privacy, and inside they are cramped to the full. An 18-inch TV, a huge chair with electromechanical adjustment that can be transformed into a 2 meters long bed. Instead of an armrest, there is a whole cabinet with several drawers, a bunch of interfaces, sockets, and ports, an individual light and a folding lamp, a large pull-out table on which you can easily put a normal laptop. In short, incredible beauty, and a high step forward compared to the old business class. All this beauty is the brainchild of Collins Aerospace, who definitely understand how it's done. They themselves, by the way, are a subsidiary of Raytheon Technologies, which are very famous for their cozy electronics. Yes, it is a huge industrial conglomerate, so of course they do other things too. But mostly people prefer to think of these cute screens. Finally, the favorite topic of aviation geeks in cabins of long-haul airliners, secret crew rest compartments. The very door to the secret room, behind which there is something unusual.
Да, они себя не обидели.
Well, okay, I may have slightly over-fantasized. In reality, everything is more modest. I'd even say too modest. There are 427 seats on this plane. That's a lot. On the one hand, this is a plus for the airline. A large capacity will increase profitability of transportation. On the other hand, in order to fit such a number of seats, it was necessary to abandon some bonuses. For example, the small rest compartments for the cabin crew. Passengers of course will not notice this, but for boys and girls in the uniform, rest will not be very comfortable. And this is the 777. Flying 11,000 kilometers is a routine job for this thing. There is nevertheless a place for pilots to rest here. It is located in the nose of the aircraft, right behind the cockpit. The design is tricky, with a blocking scheme so that while the pilots are walking there, outsiders could not slip into the cockpit. The rest area itself is a small space, inside of which 2 beds are placed one above the other, like on a train. Modest, but it is quite possible to rest and sleep. Okay, where there are pilots, there is their workplace. And the first impression when you get into the 777's cockpit, it is not that big. No, it is large, with excellent glazing, large dashboard, and space for additional crew members, but still. In terms of space, the latest machines, even small ones, have sizable cockpits, and when projected into the dimensions of the 777, the thought arises that there should be just an epic observation deck here. The time of creation matters. The cockpit was designed back in the early 1990s. The Boeing 747, by the way, has an even smaller one. Who would have thought? But beauty, of course, lies not only in the volume of the interior, but also in the filling. And here the 777 is good. At one time, this was the first Boeing model equipped with a fly-by-wire, and the guys from Seattle stuffed the avionics with everything they could. The only Boeing plane that is cooler is probably the Dreamliner. In the cockpit, as you can see, in addition to the electronic and metal beauty, there is also beauty that is quite alive. And of course, the classic Boeing handwriting. Real helms, not side sticks. Unfortunately, every party, even with such large and expensive sets, has its limits. By nightfall, the light in the hangar came on, and I was able to shoot the plane under normal lighting. And when the guards started looking at me with disapproval, I left. The airliner, after a while, also left the party, to go to work. It will operate on long-haul international routes, flying to the Emirates, the USA, India, and other sweet voyages. Thank you to Aeroflot for the opportunity to see this beauty, and to all the partners who were involved in creating it. The Boeing 777 is still the king and is not going anywhere. And you aviation enthusiasts travel in comfortable chairs, comfortable cabins, cool airplanes. And if you want to watch the videos early, see some exclusive behind-the-scenes content, or just support the channel, consider joining our Patreon community. Fast flights and soft landings to you.